All right, parents, I have a hard question for you today. So, do you have a teacher or a tutor that you trust and they have been giving your child assessments and you're wondering what they are assessing? I want to ask, are they actually measuring your child's ability to read, or are they just measuring how well your child can play a guessing game? If you want to know the answer, stay tuned. Stay tuned. So, I want you to understand that you're not alone in this struggle. Today, most parents see a progress report and see a grade level or a percentage, but they don't know how those numbers were found. So, today I want you to explain to you a little bit about how to go about performing your own tutor audit. So, I'm going to try and break down some key areas of literacy to see if your child is in the guessing path or the brain building path. So, first off, I want you to understand that if you ever hear a teacher or your tutor tell your kid to look at the first word, they're on the guessing path. There is something called running records, or MSV, and you're going to hear teachers and tutors ask, "Did that make sense? Did you look at the picture?" This is an ongoing legacy of whole language pushed by Mari Clay and Lucy Calkins and Ken Goodman and Fountas and Pinnell. It rewards a child for being a good detective, not a good reader or decoder. So on the structured literacy side, or the brain building side of things, we actually use what is called NWF, or nonsense word fluency. So a structured literacy tutor will give a child words they've never been seen before, or cold reading, like ZOT for Zot or PLAM for Plam. Why? Because they can't guess at the word and they can't use a picture. They have to decode mapping the sounds that they have been taught or that they remember, and it helps us assess, hey, are they actually learning or are they missing a step? And so when your structured literacy tutor uses this, they are essentially assessing whether the skills that have been taught are registering into their brain and developing into orthographic mapping, or if they need to be taught again. And it's usually an errorless assessment. So it's not like pass or fail, right or wrong. It's usually just information that we use to adjust our lessons. Whereas a whole language reading specialist usually feels like they're testing reading, but they're actually testing a child's memory. And also, I want to warn you, nonsense words should not be memorized, because I have heard of teachers that are still doing these balanced literacy practices and are not fully embracing structured literacy. And so they force students to memorize a nonsense word fluency list. So when it comes to the data, it looks like the student is learning, but they are not. So another thing you want to understand about the word fluency. So what I try to explain it is, it's how you are comfortable, because a lot of people get confused between speed or prosody. So essentially you want to understand that when it comes to fluency and whole language, people who teach guessing will focus on a silent reading speed. How fast can they finish the page? But the problem is that if you have speed without accuracy, it's just fast guessing. When it comes to structured literacy or building the brain, we use ORF, or oral reading fluency. This means that when we are conducting these assessments, we are going to be listening for accuracy, but you also listen for what is called prosody, which is the rhythm and expression of speech. If a child reads 100 words a minute but sounds like a robot and is very monotoned and misses every third suffix, their brain is not fluent. They're just rushing. Another thing is comprehension. You're going to hear it all the time. Well, phonics doesn't teach comprehension. It doesn't teach the love of reading, blah, 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 right? So this is where the maze assessment comes in. So if you hear a teacher say, oh, they need a maze assessment, that is whole language. Really, it's a worksheet with multiple choice words in a paragraph. And they're going to have them guess of what word fits best. And so your child's going to see a sentence, they're going to pick one of the three words to fill in the blank. And again, they're using context clues instead of actually decoding the word or using their background knowledge or vocabulary and using their actual knowledge. So, what does this look like in structured literacy? We understand in structured literacy that comprehension is an outcome, and language develops first, then we have decoding, and then we test listening comprehension. So, if I read a story to a child who isn't fully confident in reading by themselves, I'm going to be asking, hey, do they understand it? If they do understand it when they hear it, but fail when they read it, the problem is not going to be comprehension. They're a smart kid. It's going to be decoding. So what am I going to do? I can use my teaching skills to make a decodable text so that I can make a text that matches the lessons that we've been teaching, the lessons they have been taught in the past, maybe by other tutors or teachers, and then we can properly assess, hey, can they read and decode, and then from that decoded passage that they can comprehend what was being said in that passage? Great, wonderful. Now, let's talk about phonics when it comes to spelling. So in structured literacy, we call this encoding. It goes hand in hand with decoding. But if you are talking about whole language and this guessing path, they are going to value memorization. And so that's where you get the old school, hey, let's send home a list on Monday, you memorize it, and then you'll have a test to regurgitate what you've memorized on Friday. That doesn't build any orthographic mapping. When it comes to structured literacy, usually we're going to have dictation, or we're going to not even make it like a whole big thing, but because I would honestly say in my personal assessments, when it comes to spelling, any way that your child spells gives me information. So I would never give a pass and fail spelling test. When it comes to dictation, the information they put on that page tells me exactly what gaps they have in my teaching. It is my responsibility to teach your child to read if you've hired me. So essentially, I want you to understand that you can look at this and screenshot if you'd like, but use this as a kind of like a comparison chart to understand in your advocacy journey as a parent what to look for or what to look out for. So I want you to know that you shouldn't feel like you just have to ask, hey, do you teach phonics? Because you need to also know how they measure what they are teaching. So if you are on the left side of this chart, you're kind of stuck in the 1940s. But if you are on the updated side of the chart, you are following the Structured Literacy 2026 path forward. So essentially, I don't want this video to scare you. I want this video to empower you because you are the parent, you are the guardian, you are the consumer. You have the right to demand assessments that actually reflect how your child learns to read. And so I want to highly recommend that you also take Cox Campus and Reading Universe training just like I did. I recommend that you encourage other tutors and teachers to take this free training too, because it won't hurt. Even your OBGYN or your pediatrician or your current doctor could benefit from knowing how humans learn how to read. But essentially, if you're interested in learning more, like, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching this video, but look forward to more videos to learn more.